Welcome to part 2 of the Michelle Hadley diabolical stalking case. This is Crime Standstill Deep Cuts, and I'm your host, Carrie Drobin. Let's dive into it. We left Michelle Hadley where she had bail set at $1 million. Unable to post bail, she remains in custody awaiting trial. The Orange County DA issues a press release outlining the bizarre case and the media attention. Reporters camped outside her parents' home, portraying the situation as a cat fight or deadly love triangle, an obsessed ex-fiancé determined to destroy her former partner and his pregnant wife. So Michelle's alleged crimes were described as depraved, earning her the number 9 spot on Orange County's weekly list of the 31 scariest people in 2016. Can you imagine that? I mean, that there is such a list in the first place, right? Notably, the emails and harassment targeting Angela Diaz stopped the moment Michelle was jailed. Still, an Orange County DA attorney framed the case as a cautionary tale about the dangers of social media and voiced full confidence in the prosecution. And Michelle, meanwhile, was visited by her parents, right? She's their first day behind bars, and she's struggling to believe the situation that she's in. Her parents think this is not the Michelle that they knew. A self-described goody two-shoes, Michelle grew up in Ontario, California with her parents and younger sister. She was a strong student, ran cross-country in high school, earned a scholarship in Dickinson College, where she graduated with a degree in medieval studies. At 22, she married her high school sweetheart and worked at a series of jobs before becoming a marketing executive at an insurance management company. The marriage was short-lived, and after her divorce, the 26-year-old Michelle turned to online dating. In 2013, she connected with 35-year-old Ian Diaz, meeting him in person for the first time that August at a Starbucks, right? This is the coffee date. The relationship accelerated quickly, and on their second date, Ian professed his love for her and gave her a down payment for an annual pass to his favorite place, Disneyland. At his urging, Michelle left her marketing job to work at the resort as an associate program manager. Okay, think about how fast this is moving, guys. Second date, right? Then she quits her marketing job. By December 2014, just over a year into the relationship, Ian surprised her with a trip to New York for her 28th birthday. Atop the Rockefeller Center, he proposed with a diamond ring. Michelle said yes, and the couple set a wedding date for February 2016. In the months that followed, Michelle and Ian bought a Yorkshire Terrier, a puppy. They named him Chewy. They began searching for their first home together. In May of 2015, they purchased the condo that would later become the center of so much conflict. When the relationship collapsed and a legal battle over the property began, Michelle started emailing Ian constantly in an effort to resolve the matter. She admitted to sending angry emails laced with religious language, but she insisted that she had never contacted his new partner. Her parents believed her. Convinced that she was being framed, they were determined to prove her innocence. And because they couldn't afford both her bail and the legal fees to hire a strong defense, Michelle chose to remain in jail so that her family could direct their resources toward securing a best attorney possible. They eventually retained Orange County criminal defense lawyer Michael Jutsi. Known for taking time to understand his clients and fighting to give them a fair chance, he would often tell his clients, "Don't give up on yourself. We won't give up on you. We'll stand by your side until we work it out." So the Hadleys reached out, and Jutsu agreed to meet with Michelle. He was struck by the contrast between the woman portrayed in the press as this vengeful, unstable person and the gentle, private woman sitting across from him. He described her as wide-eyed, bubbly, straightforward, a self-confessed super nerd whose modest upbringing reflected a conservative, law-abiding life. Before this arrest, Michelle had never been in trouble. She explained that in May 2016, when she warned Ian that she would sue if he failed to assume their mortgage by the agreed deadline, she was under immense stress. After the breakup, her mental health had deteriorated to the point where she began self-medicating with alcohol. And 2 days after sending that message, she began receiving strange online communications urging her to contact Ian's new wife. Michelle had never met Angela Diaz. But she had noticed her name on Ian's financial paperwork, and she realized that Ian had moved on. So around the same time, she received multiple notifications from Google that various Gmail accounts were attempting to forward their emails to her. When Michelle replied to the accounts asking who they belonged to, she received automated responses saying that they had been shut down. Alarmed, Michelle moved back in with her parents. She recently left her job to work for the family business and had dropped out of the MBA program that she was pursuing. So on Wednesday, June 1st of 2016, she was blindsided when officers arrived at her parents' home to inform her that Angela Diaz had filed a restraining order against her. Michelle was stunned. She had only just learned of Angela's existence and never even met or communicated with her. Soon after, Michelle learned that Ian's application to assume the mortgage on their condo had been denied. Sneaky move, right? Under their agreement, this should have triggered the sale of the property, with the proceeds split between them. 3 days later, Michelle was served with a physical copy of the temporary restraining order. No evidence or supporting allegations were attached, leaving her baffled as to what it was based on. Later that day, she received an email from an unfamiliar address claiming to be Ian, urging her to return to the condo. But suspecting it was a setup designed to make her violate the restraining order, Michelle ignored it. That evening, a detective contacted her, explaining that Ian's new wife was receiving threatening messages from an email address allegedly linked to Michelle. Alarmed, Michelle reported the suspicious emails and the baseless restraining order. Convinced she was being framed, she asked police to trace the emails' IP addresses in hopes of identifying their source. She was told the matter would be assigned to another detective. After repeated calls to the Anaheim Police Department, Michelle learned that her case had been referred to Detective Michael Lee. Over the following week, she left him 3 detailed voice messages, warning that she feared she was being set up to violate the restraining order and that the situation was escalating. Meanwhile, she continued receiving notifications that various email accounts were being fraudulently linked to her personal account, 6 of which she reported to Microsoft. On Wednesday, June 15th, after receiving no help from local police, Michelle filed a complaint referral form with the FBI, and in it she wrote, quote, "While I don't know exactly who is doing this, I have reason to believe that my ex-fiancé, Ian Diaz, is. A deputy U.S. Marshal is using Gmail, Outlook, and Hotmail accounts to impersonate me online, sending threatening emails to his current wife in an effort to scare me into letting him keep the property that we co-owned. I would like IP address research conducted to identify where the emails are coming from, and if possible, who is creating them." When she didn't hear back, Michelle emailed the Department of Justice asking how to file a formal complaint against Ian. The next day, she followed up with another message. "I cannot repeat enough how urgent and serious this matter is." She received only an automated response thanking her for her message, nothing more. On Friday, June 17th, Michelle appeared in court for her restraining order hearing. Ian was there, surrounded by supportive friends and family who heckled Michelle as she waited for the proceedings to begin. Angela Diaz was also present. It was Michelle's first time seeing her. Angela approached and shoved a stack of papers into Michelle's hand, saying, "Here." The papers contained excerpts of emails filled with violent threats and disturbing imagery. After the hearing, Michelle emailed Microsoft again, urging them to trace the IP addresses of whoever was attempting to link accounts to hers. She described the matter as urgent. Days later, she received notice from Craigslist asking her to verify an advertisement posted under her email titled "Gang Rape Fantasy." With no phone number to call, she reported the fake ad to abuse@craigslist.org. At 11:45 p.m. on Friday, June 24, 2016, Michelle was returning to her parents' house after a date when an unmarked car pulled up. 3 plainclothes men stepped out, identifying themselves as police officers. Among them were Detective Michael Lee, assigned to her case, and Detective Michael Cooner, who was working with Ian and Angela Diaz. They asked for her electronic devices. Believing this was a follow-up to her reports, Michelle handed over her phone, laptop, and iPad and showed them the spoofed emails linked to her account. The detectives then told her that someone had broken into the Diaz's condo intending to rape Angela. As they sifted through her emails and peppered her with questions, Michelle realized with mounting dread that she was being treated as a suspect. Detective Cooner zeroed in on emails from an account called enrdrs@gmail.com, along with a Craigslist verification for the gang rape fantasy ad. Michelle insisted she had no idea what the Craigslist message was about, explained that she hadn't sent the emails, she had received them. Trying to prove she was also a victim, Michelle pointed to the email she had already sent to the FBI, the Department of Justice, Microsoft, and Craigslist, as well as the 3 voicemails she had left Detective Lee over the past week, none of which he'd answered. Cooner pressed her for Lee's phone extension to verify her story. When she recited it correctly, Detective Lee looked sheepish and muttered, "Well, looks like I'm in trouble again tonight." Moments later, Michelle Hadley was arrested and charged with 5 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. She was released the next morning after her parents managed to secure her bail. In the weeks that followed, she rarely left their home except to help at the family business. She refused to be alone and avoided going online, knowing all her electronic devices were still in the custody of the Anaheim Police Department. But on Thursday, July 14, 2016, several police cars pulled up outside the Hadley's business. Detectives marched inside. Detective Cooner told Michelle they had evidence emails were still being sent from her Gmail account. Her father immediately pushed back. That was impossible. Michelle didn't have her phone, laptop, or iPad. And even if she tried to log in on a new device, Gmail's 2-factor authentication required access to her cell phone, which the police already had. The math didn't add up, but the detectives seemed unconcerned. And undeterred, they arrested Michelle again, this time for attempted rape. And she was booked into the Orange County Central Women's Jail pending trial. Jail was a nightmare. She was subjected to invasive cavity searches. Her eyesight suffered when guards confiscated her contact lens solution. Requests for basic hygiene products were ignored. Because she was accused of sex crimes, Michelle was placed in the jail's high-security unit and labeled an R3 offender, informally known as a Romeo. Many Romeos were accused of child sexual abuse and considered the most dangerous inmates in the system. Other prisoners, having read about Michelle's alleged crimes, mocked her as the, quote, mastermind of a depraved scheme. One night, a note with a death threat was slipped under her cell door. She was branded a snitch, inmates slamming the walls of her cell and screaming through the bars. And that's where we leave Michelle Hadley for now. But her story is far from over. In part 3, the case takes a twisted turn you won't believe. Stay with us. You won't want to miss what happens next.